Sarah felt Dad's body touching hers. It was beyond her comprehension. Disgust, revulsion, terror. There were no real words to put to the feelings that the child was having. Nothing made sense to her. Hello, you are listening to In My Words. The book I am reading from is titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles. This book is not intended for young readers. After each reading session, I will show or discuss a various topic of interest. Leaving a comment will help my videos get noticed more and allow other people to view them. Also, purchasing one or all three of my books will be very helpful. My newest book is out, titled The Sensitives. You can find it at Amazon.com under The Sensitives by D.A. Riles. Thank you for your time and consideration. Today, we're going to teach you kids the basics, she heard an echoing voice say. Sarah wasn't certain to whom Dad was talking to, so she kept still. The 4 children were lined up in a row at the side of Mom and Dad's bed. Mom and Dad were laying on the bed, waiting for the children to settle down and pay attention. Joe, Sissy, and Scott seemed eager to know more. Sarah did not. From somewhere in the back of her mind, Sarah heard herself saying, "I have a headache," not realizing she had said it out loud. "No, you don't," Dad said with slight objection, trying not to spoil the mood for him and Jane. Sarah looked towards Mom, who was lounging on the bed on top of the covers. Mom simply looked past the youngest child in the room and smiled at the other 3 who were more willing to participate. Mom didn't want to disrupt the balance of the family, especially not when she was in more of a vulnerable state than usual. Dad, suddenly realizing that Mom was trying to be sympathetic to the 4 children in the room, said to Sarah, "I'm getting sick of you saying you have a headache or stomachache. You're just going to have to live with it until we show you kids what you should know. This is for your own good, and you're going to learn about it. Now stop being a baby and listen up." Seeing the other 3 children's reaction, or lack thereof, Dad had no idea why the youngest was putting up such a fuss and said, "What's the matter with you?" Seeing the tears and hearing Sarah's sobs, the slightly irritated and confused man said, "I'm not beating you, you know." To Sarah, the beating would have been a better option. She just didn't want to have to be there. Why did Dad have a need to teach her things? Dad began talking, yet nothing was heard by Sarah. Her mind took control of what was taking place. She could see the images, but didn't hear the words. First, Dad began to remove his shirt. Then Mom removed hers. Within moments, the 2 adults were fully unclothed. Laying naked upon the bed, Dad began to describe various ways for Mom to please him. Then he proceeded to describe the ways for him to please Mom. It seemed like hours were passing as Sarah watched the horror unfolding before her. She didn't want to see Mom and Dad having sex, but to Dad, it was a learning experience. The young child's body was physically shaking. A very small whimper came from her lips. Then someone was lightly crying out, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" Over and over, the small screams escaped the young daughter's lips. Sarah saw Dad hop off the bed and move his naked body towards her. As Dad neared, Sarah vomited. He grabbed his daughter and he shook her hard. "Stop it! Do you hear? Stop it!" Dad was at a loss as to why Sarah was acting so strangely. "You're staying right here. You can clean up your puke later. You are going to learn how this is done. When you get older, you'll thank me for these lessons. You'll know how to please your husband, and you can show your husband how to please you." Sarah felt Dad's body touching hers. It was beyond her comprehension. Disgust, revulsion, terror. There were no real words to put to the feelings that the child was having. Nothing made sense to her. Why is everyone else so calm and quiet? she wondered. Why am I the only one who doesn't like this? Maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not really here. Sarah's questions to herself seemed to be the only thing that made sense. In her mind, Sarah was elsewhere, yet her ear-piercing screams had not stopped. They seemed to be growing louder. Smack came the open-handed blow across her face. Snap out of it. What the hell is the matter with you? You're too sensitive. I'm trying to help you. Dad was trying to reason with his young daughter. He thought he got through to her after the slap on her face, for then she quieted down. Dad climbed back on the bed and continued with his lesson. Both Mom and Dad completed their fulfillments. Sated, Dad said, "You children can go now." Pausing for a moment, he added, "We're not done with these lessons, so keep it in mind." He looked directly at Sarah as he continued. "This will happen again, and the next time there won't be any outbursts. Got that?" Sarah said nothing. During the next sex talk and magazine showing, Dad said, "Your mom and I don't need to show you kids how to please someone else anymore. I'm pretty sure that as you read the books and do the assignments, you'll learn from it." For some reason, Thomas had changed his mind about showing his children how sex should properly be done, and for Sarah, the announcement was next to bliss. She was so happy that a light smile crossed her lips. Sarah had learned more than she ever wanted to know about sex. Although she had a reprieve from seeing the horrifying scene of her parents having sex, the lessons carried over into her everyday life. Family sex meetings continued on, along with the endless photos, magazines, and assignments. Over the years that were to follow, Sarah realized that she could not get away from every family meeting. But every so often, when she really would have a bad headache or a stomach ache, then Dad would excuse his daughter from the sex lesson. By the time Sarah was 10, the family sex meetings thankfully had stopped. However, if Dad needed to gather the whole family together, he would still call a regular meeting. Sarah was very relieved when all the bad discussions were finally over. Please like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to having you join me again next time, where I will show another topic. And I will continue to read from the book titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles, which you can purchase from Amazon.com. Thank you for having joined me.